Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Ifra Aliel, and I represent the Ohio STEM Learning Network. I have Steve Phelps and Jeff Rhodes with me today, and we're going to be discussing Computer Science A and Computer Science A Learning Program. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Steve. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. I'll introduce you here in a little bit, and let's just go ahead and just get started. Ohio STEM Learning Network, just want to let everybody know first off that it's a public and private partnership between Battelle, the organization, and Ohio Department of Education. I want to let everybody know that this webinar is recorded. And just want to share real quickly about Ohio STEM Learning Network vision and mission. So our vision is that Ohio community has access to quality STEM education to drive Ohio's economic future. And the mission is to champion STEM education by establishing a network of professional learning programs and enduring partnerships between schools, communities, and industry. My name is Ifra Alial. My title is a STEM project specialist with the Ohio STEM Learning Network. Previously in my career, I was a high school science teacher where I taught chemistry, biology, and computer science. We have here with us today Steve Phelps, who's the computer science and mathematics teacher at Marymount High School, and who is also a participant in the Computer Science A professional learning program, as well as an incoming facilitator for code.org for Computer Science A. We also have Jeff Rhodes with us. He's a technology education teacher at North Royalton High, and he is also a participant in the Computer Science A professional learning, and then also code.org incoming facilitator, but for a different program, Computer Science Principles. Welcome again, Steve and Jeff. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So what we're going to do in this time is we're going to address the what and why of computer science education. We're going to talk a little bit about computer science A professional development opportunities, and we're going to share participants, Jeff and Steve are going to share their experiences with us with the program and their teaching in the classroom and how their students respond to the curriculum. And we're going to address any questions that you may have about the information presented to you. So first things first, I think this is a thing that's pretty well known, right? That computing is revolutionizing and changing everything about our lives, from the way that we communicate since the advent of cell phones, social media, the way that we can communicate with anyone near and far, what we're doing right now, communicating through Zoom, although we're not physically in the same place, revolutionizing education, revolutionizing healthcare. I mean, the it's endless, right? What computer science or computing has done for our lives. So, with that being said, we're going to be talking about computer science education and why that is important. Because the technology has been revolutionizing our lives in a variety of ways, it's a good thing to know how computers work and do what they do, but also in a way, somebody mentioned not too long ago about cybersecurity, a way to keep ourselves safe on the internet, since a lot of our lives and a lot of our daily living and is done on the internet, right? So one of the things that we at OSLN do is we provide professional development in computer science for educators. We have four cohorts in the program. So we have K to 12. So we have K to 5, and we have computer science discoveries, computer science principles, and computer science A, which is what we're going to be discussing today. I've put up here how you can get to our professional development site, but I will also share a QR code and a website link later on. So again, K to 12 computer science professional learning program. What we're really proud of is that it's more than just a professional learning program. What we're most proud of is that we create a community of computer science educators, and we partner with code.org. And just a real quick information about why we partner with code.org. We focus on accessibility for all. So for all schools, for educators, for students, we align on our value of equity and accessibility for everybody. So that's why we partner with code.org. They have free curriculum, free for all time, and high quality curriculum that just not doesn't just focus on the technological skills that students and people need, but also on getting a lot of diverse student populations in the computer science classroom so that the technology that we develop reflects everybody and is able to be accessible to everybody. So again, that's the code.org curriculum. We have the computer science fundamentals in it here. And then we have the computer science discoveries, which is taught to sixth grade to 10th graders. And we also have computer science A, which is the computer science program that we're going to be discussing today. All right, computer science A. So in computer science A, students learn to design, write, and test computer programs using Java programming language. Uh, the features of this program is that we have daily instructional lesson plans that include equity-based pedagogy and background content. We also have formative and summative assessment, project exemplars, and rubrics, as well as concepts and tutorial videos for students on code.org, a learning platform where students interact with lesson materials and tools, and where teachers are able to access a dashboard to see student work and progress, as well as it has a forum where you can ask questions from other educators and receive answers, and also answer questions for other people. So the supportive community as well. So there's the Java Lab, a Java programming environment in Code Studio, which is designed for creating object-oriented programs with a text-based editor and debugging capabilities. Just a quick overview of all the units. So we have Unit 1, Object-Oriented Programming. In this unit, students learn fundamental Java concepts and discover their identity as a software engineer and use debugging strategies and code reviews to improve their programming skills. Students also on Unit 2, Giving Objects State. In this unit, students develop an understanding of data encapsulation and object-oriented design decisions. And then on Unit 3, we have Expanding Program Data. In this unit, students create one-dimensional arrays to store lists of primitive values and object references. In Unit 4, Expanding Program Logic. In this unit, students further expand the capabilities of their programs through the use of APIs and libraries to implement files to simple GUI elements. So we also have Unit 5, Given Object Organization. In this unit, students use two-dimensional arrays to expand storage and organization capabilities in their programs. We have Unit 6, Expanding Program Capability. Students continue to use array lists to store program data and differentiate between when to use 1D, when to use 2D, and array lists. On Unit 7, students are expanding on program behavior. And in this unit, students practice software design and development using these skills and programming constructs they've learned. And then Unit 8, Given Objects Life. So in this unit, students implement searching and sorting algorithms to improve the efficiency and capabilities of their programs. So it's a really comprehensive curriculum. It is an advanced placement course. So Code.org CSA curriculum has been recognized and endorsed by the College Board as an AP course. So who is a computer science student? Well, technically everyone could be a computer science A student. The recommendation is that the students have completed at least computer science principles, which focuses on programming concepts or foundational programming concepts, or computer science discoveries, which is the one right before computer science principles, which is geared towards 6th to 10th grade. Also still about programming concepts, but also web design, physical computing. So some background is recommended for computer science A, as well as successfully completed a first-year algebra course with a strong foundation of basic linear functions, compositions of functions, and problem-solving strategies that require multiple approaches and collaborative efforts. And strong computational thinking skills are recommended for students taking computer science A. And Code.org does strive to bring computer science to all learners. So it does provide multiple avenues to learn and understand the computer science content, and ensures inclusion and full participation for underrepresented groups in computer science. They also use the Universal Design for Learning, UDL, which you may be familiar with, guidelines in designing the curriculum. So are you a computer science A teacher? All right, so do you have previous computer science experience? Does not have to necessarily be related to computer science A or Java. Are you a learner? Code.org Professional Learning provides an abundance of resources to new to computer science A learners. Have you ever dabbled with programming of any kind? And really, really important, can't emphasize enough, do you have a growth mindset? Teachers with some comfort with programming in any language are a great fit and who are eager to learn and able to put themselves in a learner's shoe. Our program involves a 5-day summer workshop, which will be held in Akron, Ohio this year on June 19th to 23rd, 2023. Attend 8 virtual workshops. So Steve and Jeff can tell you a little bit about that as well, typically around 2 to 3 hours in length throughout the school year. So this is after the summer 5-day workshop. So we also would like you to support the recruitment and enrollment of a diverse group of students in the course, representative of the school's overall student population, and optional to teach a computer science course, in particular computer science A, during the 23-24 school year. So just that's the same recap, 5-day summer workshop in Akron. Put an asterisk on there because we were in Columbus this last year. We also were in Cleveland, Ohio, and we tried to get our program to as many educators as possible in Ohio. So next year we may not be in Akron, we may be somewhere else. So our goal is to help schools be proactive. So one of the really, really cool things about this professional program is, although it's $1,800, thanks to Battelle, State of Ohio, and Code.org, we have full scholarships available for all Ohio teachers. And at this point, before I introduce before we do the question and answer, I would like to go ahead and give Steve and Jeff an opportunity to just quickly introduce themselves.
You can go first.
Okay. Go ahead. You go, Jeff. You go.
All right. I'll go quickly. My name is Jeff Rhodes. This is my 22nd year of teaching. I teach in a public school outside of Cleveland, Ohio at North Royalton. For the first 18 years of my career, I was actually a shop teacher. So I taught woodworking, machining, welding, stuff like that. Over the years, I saw that the trends of where shop was going wasn't exactly being supported by the school. So I transitioned over to computer science in 2018. And I've been teaching full-time CSP, CSA classes since then.
Hi, my name is Steve Phelps. I am a math teacher, computer science teacher, and an instructional coach here at Marymount High School, just outside of Cincinnati. I am somewhere year 30 something. So my path, I started with computer science at my old school, and came here and implemented Code.org with the school I'm at now, and it's just super easy to use. So, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it, but that's where I am.
Great, thank you both so much. And I want to emphasize that I really appreciate you being here and sharing your experience with us and your knowledge. So the question that I have for you first is, what has your experience been with Ohio STEM Learning Network training?
Go ahead.
So, I'm sorry. So I actually have quite a bit of experience with both the OSLN and Code.org training. I participated in my first one in 2018 doing a CSP training in Columbus. Additionally, as I was mentioned, I did the CSA training this last summer. And honestly, without support of organizations like this, I probably would never be teaching this class at all. So prior to switching to CSA Code.org's curriculum, I use CS Awesome's curriculum. And I can tell you it is just night and day between the two curriculums.
And my first experience with OSLN was at last summer's Code.org training. And at least as far as I know, I might have done other things with them, but in the past, but I really don't know for sure. But I know last summer is probably when it started. And I would agree with Jeff that without their support and without the Code.org curriculum, it's made this year the transition into this year and introducing computer science and expanding the computer science offerings at Marymount has been really good.
Thank you both for sharing your answering that question and sharing your experience there. So I will just ask Steve first here. What are some key aspects of your learning process?
Oh, so I am my learning process. I'm more of a tinkerer. So it's yeah, I like to have the opportunity to tinker and play and kind of formulate my own ideas, try to figure out like what I know, what I don't know, so I can ask better questions. And which is probably why I was gravitated towards code.org, because they seem to kind of have that same kind of a learning philosophy. But anyway, that is I love to tinker, love to try to play and kind of figure out what I know and don't know, and then so I know what I need to do next.
Thank you. And Jeff?
So I'm definitely a very project-based learning. I 100% learn when I actually do something and complete it. So I'm one of those people where you could explain something 15 times too clearly. I'll kind of make sense on it as soon as you let me loose and let me actually try something. That's when all those pieces start coming together to me. And that's actually one of the great parts of this curriculum with the CSA, is it really scaffolds like that. You get that information up front, but it gives you plenty of opportunity to explore, kind of dive into your own interests and work through your own to make your own code, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And next question that I have, and it just ask Jeff first, how did you advocate for this class to be added to the school's course offerings?
So I'm probably a little different. The school actually came to me and asked me to do something. So prior to this, we actually had no computer science in my school ever. So there was just a big hole. The kids really wanted to do something. In my machining classes, I taught machine coding, the old G&M code, stuff like that. And I did a little experience. They were very popular classes, and they came to me and said, hey, you have a little experience with coding. We're thinking about doing these coding classes. Can you give it a try? So that's kind of what led me up to that. And we started with CSP for a couple of years, and it was just so popular with the kids. They came to me and said, we really need to expand our offerings. And that's when we jumped up to CSA. And I initially got into the CS Awesome program because, like most schools, they say, how can you do this for free? Most of the curriculums up there cost quite a bit of money, Code HS, all those. So I was kind of stuck with the CS Awesome until this code.org opened up, which again, has been night and day between the other curriculums.
Thanks so much for sharing that. And Steve?
So I'm at the first year actually teaching at the school. I'd served as an instructional coach through our county ESC for the past 3 years here. And so the computer science, like computer science A, existed, but a general path, like what do kids do from freshmen through their senior year in the realm of computer science. And I had always taught Java before, but never a computer science A course. We had a handful of kids who wanted to try this course in an independent study setting. And so I wanted to find something that would allow them to do that. I looked at CS Awesome the same way, and then I saw that code.org was offering their computer science A course, and I had experience with code.org already through computer science principles at my old school. And so that's kind of how we started down the code.org path. The course existed, but there wasn't really a framework, if that made sense. So what we're trying to do now is create just what is the computer science path when kids come into Marymount High School, and what classes will they take, and in what order will they go in?
Good stuff. Thank you so much for sharing. And, I have a follow-up question on the curriculum, the way that it's set up from Unit 1 all the way to Unit 8. What has your experience been with that, especially since you said you've already taught Java? How is it different from the Java course that you taught before?
So what I really like most about it, when I taught AP statistics, I kind of taught that the same way. I started with the big ideas in statistics. So I would start right at the beginning of the year with hypothesis testing and confidence intervals through simulations that kids could get their hands on and can participate in.
Mm-hmm.
Code.org's computer science A curriculum is like exactly the same thing. The very first week in the course, you're dealing with objects and classes and trying to get these things to do things. And you're working with the Painter Plus. So it's all these things right off the bat. Kids are working with the big ideas in computer science and the big ideas in Java. That's what I like most about the Code.org computer science A curriculum.
Good deal. And did your students, based on the experience that you have with Java and with this one, what's your experience been for your students in grasping the concepts, in engaging in the classroom?
I have pretty smart kids. They would probably learn in spite of me. But I think that I think all of the kids, even the kids who are on independent study, which is certainly challenging. I think I know our building principle is always, what are we doing for the kids in the middle? And I think it's a good course for anybody. They could be bright students or they could be kids in the middle. I think it's appropriate. So all the kids are having success, and I think they have a genuine interest in learning more going forward. So it's been good for the kids.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience there. And Jeff, did you have to, by any chance, recruit any more students for the particular course? I know you said that your school came to you and that there was an interest. Did you have to further recruit, and how did you do so?
Oh yeah, I definitely had to recruit after it. So as an elective teacher prior to this, I kind of had a lot of experience because I was always kind of going out having to recruit for my job. So it was more of a natural transition to me. But I guess the best piece of advice I can always give, because we always talk about this in my school, a lot of things people always forget to do is just ask the kids if they're actually taking the class. It's one of the easiest things, and it's one of those things that often overlook. And whenever I do my end of the year, evaluations, and I say, how did you end up in this class? What's going on? How'd you get here? More often than not, I get a, you asked to come to this class kind of thing. So I usually start at the beginning. Recruitment also starts at the beginning of the year. If you're waiting for a week or two before you're signing up for their stuff, you're already behind the game. So it starts from day one, talking to the kids, building relationships. And then as you lead up to it, are you taking my computer science class this year? And you just get that yes and keep working. So got to go through and talk to the kids, biggest part.
I really like that, just like asking them, right? Sometimes it's surprising, when you ask people if they're going to be, if you ask the students if they're going to be taking your class, then they're like, oh, maybe I should. What is that class about? Maybe they'll take just an initiative to even learn more about it if they didn't know about it before. Steve, what about you? How did you recruit students for your course?
So I had like a two-prong approach. The one course we're teaching this year is an introduction to computer programming. That's going to become our computer science principles course next year. But the kids in that course are ready. So I just said, you need to sign up for this course. Some kids, it wouldn't fit in their schedule next year, but they want to do it their senior year, which is fine. So that is one way we've got kids into the course for next year. And then the other way is we did hours of code. I, as an instructional coach, I'm able to get to our junior high and work with the kids and teachers down there. So I spent 2 days down there with them doing hours of code in the math classes down there. And I also went to our math classrooms here and did hours of code. And we used Python for that, but that's okay. It didn't matter. So just to kind of let them know, here are the classes, the new classes that we're offering. Here's what we're trying to do, and would love to have you in the class. So our numbers for next year are pretty good. We're a small school. So when I say there's 10 signed up for computer science A, that's a big deal. And when I say there's 15 signed up for computer science principles, that's also a big deal because those numbers are way bigger than they were last year.
Wow. Seems like you guys are doing really good there. Thank you very much for sharing that. So a question that I have for you is, like, what advice do you have for teachers taking the year-long professional program? And to add to that is, what advice do you have for teachers considering taking the year-long professional program?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Steve.
Okay. Yes. So I think it is super manageable. It seems like when you see a year-long program, you're thinking, man, that's a lot. I don't know if I'll have time. but honestly, it's with the same people who I went through the summer training with. And so I know everybody, and it is relevant. So we always seem to be talking about topics that are like right where I am or right where I'm getting to be in our curriculum. So I think that it is manageable and doable, and it's not an overwhelming experience. So if you have an inkling, like should I or shouldn't I, give it a try. The people who I work with each month on the webinars are fantastic. So I always look forward to those evenings when I have like the code.org webinars. So it's always good.
And I'm on those calls too. I'm a little biased, right? Because I represent the organization, but I do see that they're having a lot of fun. So it's nice to see you guys have fun while you're learning. What about yourself, Jeff?
So I guess my biggest piece of advice is if I can do it, absolutely anybody out there can do it, because I made a transition from project-based, hardly, teaching to a tradition, not hardly teaching, but teaching in a different style to a very traditional style. And it isn't as bad or as scary as most people think. And it's actually a very, very fun curriculum to teach. I was very worried because I had experience in Python and JavaScript like most of you, and I didn't have very much in the Java language. I was very nervous about that. But again, once I got into it, it's really not that bad. Once you understand just some basics of object-oriented, it's pretty much like any other programming language you're working with out there. So take a deep breath. Don't worry. It's not as scary as you think it is.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And anything else that you would like to share as your experience in the program, with your experience with your students and this curriculum, anything else that you'd like to add to Jeff?
So again, I'm going to give a shout out to the OSLN here. Again, I couldn't have done any of this stuff without, people like you guys supporting us. My school is notorious for, if you can't do it for free, we're just not going to do that kind of thing. So, I mean, the travel grants, the grants to pay for these trainings, I mean, they are just such an invaluable source to make you a better teacher. And it's just such a great thing to be right at your fingertips to have. So take advantage of it. It's really worthwhile. And again, those year-long classes, it seems like, I know when I heard it, I was like, oh man, I don't want to spend a month every night, learning and doing all this stuff. But honestly, the hardest part of teaching it is being on an island. I think I'm the only person in my building who does any computer science whatsoever, only person in the district. When I have issues, there's not like I can go next door anywhere else. So this group is really instrumental in bouncing off ideas. Hey, this doesn't work. Help me understand this. Other people have different understanding. So it is really a good program. And those things that you think might annoy you are actually those things that will probably help you down the road.
Thanks for sharing. And yourself, Steve?
Yeah, I would echo Jeff's comments. I would also add that as far as a code.org curriculum, it really is, it's a perfect class for anyone who is interested, teachers or students. And they really do, with the lesson plans available, trainings, folks that you can contact through their support groups there online. It really is, it makes the transition to teaching it very easy. So, and so does the OSLN folks, because they also make it easy too.
Well, thanks so much. So before I open it up to questions from other people, I also wanted to share that I forgot to mention earlier. I actually also went through this program before I started working for this organization. And I took the professional development program for the year long. I taught computer science principles. And I also was a facilitator. So I was teaching the curriculum to other teachers. So this is a program that I personally have a lot of experience with as a teacher, the facilitator, and then now working directly managing the program. So it's something that I'm really proud of and that I really believe in. So just definitely want to give that information as well as to why I'm so passionate about this. And I was not a computer science teacher. I was a chemistry and a biology teacher. So although I had an interest in computer science, because I just love technology, I was not a computer science teacher and I did not study computer science at the college level. So it was very user-friendly to use the curriculum, and I appreciated that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So any questions from anybody else here? Please feel free.
Yeah, I have 3 questions. My first question is there any cost for using the code.org curriculum?
So yes, I can answer that. Okay. So there's no cost for using the code.org curriculum. It's free to use. It's free to anybody.
Okay. For Steve and Jeff particular, what changes have you seen in the computer science curriculum or what they expect over the past 5 years? And do you expect any changes soon if nothing's happened in the last 5 years?
I can speak for the last 3 years. I've taught CSA for the last 3 years, 2 years under the CS Awesome, this year under this. As far as I know, just perusing the groups, the AP, I don't foresee any major curriculum changes. I believe they overhauled the curriculum in 2015, 2016, and they typically take about 10 years in between each to do it. Again, I'm just speaking from my own personal knowledge. There could be a new curriculum coming next year. But as far as I know, this has been pretty much set since the beginning, and they did their overhaul pretty recently.
I haven't taught it long enough to make a comment on that one way or another, but I do like how code.org kind of presents it.
Right. And my last question is, what college credit have your students earned from the AP test in computer science at what kind of colleges?
So in CSP, my kids average almost a 4 on the exam. So they've done really good. When we transition to CS Awesome, they average about a 2.1. That was my big red flag of, all right, something's not right here. We're doing stuff that's successful here, not so much that's up here. So the curriculum before, again, didn't have as much success as I would like to. The kids definitely this year are definitely getting the concepts a lot better. The big problem with CSA, the least that I had, they didn't introduce object-oriented program till about a third of the way through the curriculum. And it really kind of taught it as a traditional coding language up until then. And by the time they made that shift to object-oriented, the kids had a tough time wrapping their heads around the difference between a function-based and object-based programming. This year, code.org hits that in the first chapter and really runs with it. So just doing the testing that I did last year to this year, and this is just anecdotal, is like night and day with the kids understanding stuff like that. So the best thing I can just tell you is comparing to how I did it for the last 2 years, I am doing 1,000 times better this year. The kids have a far better understanding of what we're talking about. We'll see, obviously, at the end of the year when the AP scores come back, but they obviously can't get much worse than they were.
I can't speak for my students here, but my kids at Madeira who are in computer science principles, some of them reported to me that they did get credit when they went to their college for their courses, but they did really well on the tests and on their projects. So that's not a surprise. But I do think it comes down, the colleges will offer credit for whatever they want to offer credit for. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just wondered how it's accepted. Yeah, I was just wondering, how well accepted it is by the colleges, in the sense that, you might say in AP statistics, if you get a 4 or 5, you're going to get a credit and get to go to the next class when you go to college. And I see some of these new AP courses, AP pre-calculus, what's a college going to do with that if they don't even offer pre-calculus?
So I can say that a couple kids have gotten credit through like Ohio State, some of the other programs. They call it, like at Ohio State, I know it's 0500 basic programming. That's what they receive credit for down there. So they've absolutely received that. For the CSP class, I know we're not talking about that. Generally, that comes as a general elective. Almost all college kids now have to take a computer science elective when they go to college. So the CSP really fits that general elective category really well. And CSA really hits that programming course really well.
Okay, thanks. That answers all my questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you for asking those questions. Definitely appreciate that. Anyone else? Anyone else have any questions? thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Really appreciate you giving us your time. Really appreciate Jeff and Steve for being here and sharing their experiences and sharing, everything with us. I really appreciate that. Time is obviously the most valuable asset that we have, and you're here with us and sharing your knowledge and experience and your time. So really appreciate that a lot. I want to leave people also with my contact information. This QR code is to our website, but I can also just go ahead and drop the link in the chat.